My first job was at a frozen yogurt shop and I got paid $7. I was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, real money.
Did you make commission off of being able to sell it at high school? When you took all those orders?
Jordan did give me commission.
Jordan's the boss, yeah.
He didn't give me commission, but I think he took me out to dinner, so it's worth it.
Okay.
It's worth it. Yeah, I actually ended up getting in trouble in that, and like they were not happy about it. And I remember saying to him like, there's a demand for it, you didn't meet it, you can't take. So like, I think you should be looking at different options. Like, I can't help it if people want it.
Yeah.
Like, if people didn't want it, I wouldn't be taking all these orders.
Welcome to the Level Asian podcast. We're joined by Claudia Li here today, who runs her own business as a business coach and mentor. Claudia was a personal trainer and a yoga instructor for 4 years before quitting her job during lockdown and going into social media management and content creation. Claudia has always been passionate about business, known for being the one that sold pens and stationery in year 5 to all of her classmates. And in year 9, she would also facilitate taking hundreds of dollars worth of frozen yogurt orders for her entire high school. And now at 23, Claudia runs a coaching and marketing business that has made multiple 6 figures in less than a year. Welcome to the podcast, Claudia.
Thank you. Great introduction.
Straight hustler.
That's funny.
I feel like if I knew you when I was young, I'll probably be scammed and I've lost a lot of money.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
You were year 5 already selling pencils and stationery?
Yeah. And froyo.
There's demand for it.
Froyo as well?
Sales for Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, which is your old boss, right?
Yeah.
You're already making him money.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump straight into it. So tell us a bit about yourself, your upbringing, your childhood, and all of that.
So a little bit about myself. As you mentioned, I'm a business mentor. Upbringing, I've lived in Sydney all my life.
Mm-hmm.
What type of Asian background are you from?
Chinese.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Australia.
Yeah. Any suburb in particular?
Suburb in particular, not in the West, in Hurstville. So I've always lived in Hurstville pretty much my whole life. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in terms of your parents, have they been really strict? What kind of jobs do they do?
Yeah. Well, my parents are very, very strict. So like strict to the point when I was young, they pretty much said, don't work, just go to school and like get a really, really good education and then you can work later in life, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you follow that?
No, absolutely. As you can tell
from the intro.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, like school's great. I just like never showed them my report cards. I'm like, yeah, doing well.
So when did you finish school? Like,
I finished in year 12. So I actually wanted to drop out in year 10, but I think I would.
You're being disowned.
Yeah, I was like, I need a house to live in. So I'll just finish year 12. I won't go to uni. So like, I actually didn't tell my parents I wasn't going to uni. Until I finished school and they're like, oh, like, what are you going to study?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm not.
Nothing. But I think my parents will always, like, even though they were slightly disappointed, I'm not an accountant or a doctor, they always knew I would be okay because I've worked my whole life. Since I was like 14 till year 12, I've always worked. So they knew deep down I would be okay with whatever I do. And they always kind of knew I was an entrepreneur as well because come on, like I bought pens when I was younger.
Yeah.
Right. Sold pens when I was younger.
So how did you go from, high school and then into the fitness industry and then from the fitness industry into your own business? I
was like never sporty or anything, but then I wanted to train, like I wanted to go to the gym. So one day I joined this gym. It was called Fit and Fast. I was like, okay, I'm going to do some classes here. And then I went to a couple of them and I really liked it. And I didn't really do much like back then. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to gym and I'm going to work. And then I was like training for years. I was like, you know what? I reckon I could teach these classes better than an instructor. So I was like, I'll explore getting like a Cert 3 and 4. So during school, I actually studied the Cert 3 and 4.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, okay, once I finish school, I'm going to go be a personal trainer because I'm not good at anything else.
Why personal training as opposed to anything else?
Because I wasn't good at anything else.
That was clear. You tried everything else.
I tried everything else. I was like, okay, I'm good at fitness. I like it. And I could work at this gym I'm like training at as well, right? So I was like, okay, this is the only thing I'm good at because I literally had no other skills, to be honest, besides being able to sell and like fitness. So I was like, okay, I'll try that.
So how old were you at that time?
About 17.
17. So you just went straight into it.
Straight into it. And then luckily from there, like I just had a few connections. So they actually got me a job working at Anytime Fitness.
Okay.
And yeah, it was really interesting because I would have been about 17, 18 while I was working there. And all my clients were like in their 30s. So it's almost like that thing, just got to act confident even though they don't know you're just fresh out of school. Right? So I did that for, about 4 years. 4 years.
So let's bring it back a bit. Which school did you go to?
I went to George's River. So I went to Pensis High School. I was like, what school did I go to? That's how much I cared about it. Pensis High School. And then I went to George's River College after because they do co-ed for the last 2 years. Do you know that school?
No, actually, no, I'm not from that area. So tell me a bit about that school. Was it like demographic wise? Like
demographic wise, it was very mixed. You'd have like Australians, you have a lot of Asians. It was very mixed. Like I really enjoyed year 7 to 10, but mainly because it was just fun. Like
it's always the fun years.
And then like you don't really take it that seriously. And there's always stuff to do. So it was really, really fun. 7 to 10. Then like when it got to 11, 12, everyone's like really stressed about HSC. It wasn't fun anymore.
So were you good at school at that time?
I wouldn't say I was good at it, but I would always pass, right? So I wasn't bad, but I wasn't like amazing because people like all my friends would get really, really good grades and like the tests were like easy for them. I'll just get like, yep, cool. I'll pass, but I wouldn't put any effort into it because I found it really hard to study. I really struggled. I was like, man, hopefully real life isn't going to be like this.
Sometimes school isn't just cut out for certain people though. Like it's so regimented. You have to study. You have to do the same thing over and over again from 7 till 12.
Yeah.
Like I didn't enjoy school. But
and 12 to university as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Same with university.
Yeah.
And like you just have to keep doing it no matter what, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So when did you like stop like realizing that, start realizing that like school is just not cut out for you? Or at a very
Probably
early
year
age?
10.
Year 10?
I was like, should I drop out and just work and save money? I was like, disowned by family or I was like,
Or
that
be
was always in
rich.
the back of my, like, honestly, if I could do my time again, I would actually probably drop out because I think I would have had more time to like do stuff, but I'm glad I didn't because at least my parents can say I finished school.
Yeah.
Still in the family.
But like year 10, I was like, hey, these subjects are getting really hard. I don't understand anything. So I just mentally checked out. But keep in mind, during that time, I wasn't doing nothing. I was still like working. So after school, I'd go to like my part-time job and just work. I'm like, at least if I'm not good at school, I'm good at work.
Yeah.
So getting significance from that. Yeah.
So then you did PT for like 3 or 4 years, and then what happened after that?
So it was 2020 and I just thought to myself, I was just having this realization, I'm like, because I love growth. And I was like, what's the next step from here? Is it opening a gym or like, what do I want to do? Because I think like once you're PT, you're capped for hours. Like you can only do 30, 40 hours a week. And when you go on a holiday, you don't really get paid for that. I was like, okay, do I want to open a gym? But I just didn't feel like there's some people and some of my clients, they just like feel so called to like open a gym. But I was like, I don't feel like I want to open a gym. I feel like if I open a gym, it's just for the sake of taking the next step. So I did what anyone does. I had a midlife crisis in my early 20s. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And at that time, I had a client. So you guys have met him, Jono, and he owned an education like company. And he's like to me, do you want to do some social media and like sales for me? I was like, okay. He's like, okay, I'll pay you $20. I'm like, well, I'm getting like paid $100 for PT, $20. It's a huge like pay cut. But you know what? I'll take it because this dude makes a lot of money. I'm sure I can learn something from him. So I started with like 10 hours a week. And I was just doing some sales for him. I was doing some of his social media. And from there, he asked me this one time. I remember this in, I think, February. He's like, hey, do you want to do a webinar for me? Because you're really good at sales. So a webinar is pretty much, do you guys know what a webinar is? It's just selling to like a big group of people. And he's like, just give it a try. I'm like, okay. And in that webinar, I made, am I allowed to say numbers here?
Yeah, of course.
I made like $10,000. And how it worked back then is I got a commission off that. And I literally made what I would make as a personal trainer in 1 hour doing that webinar. I was like, what am I doing with my life?
So in 1 hour, you made that much. How long would it have taken you to make
Like a month as a personal trainer.
A whole month?
Yeah.
Wow,
Like
okay.
just based on the commission. I was like, what is this? Because I was like, what am I even... I almost was like, what am I even selling? Because it was like a digital product. And that was when I was getting introduced to like the digital world, the online space before it kind of got big from COVID. And I was like, interesting. He's like, do you want to do it again? I'm like, yeah, but I'm still going to do personal training. I'm still going to do yoga, like teach yoga and stuff. And then from there, I was like, you know what? Why don't I do like, to be smart with my time, why don't I do one webinar a month that will cover my PT salary? And back then I had this idea of corporate yoga, right? Because I saw a gap in the market where corporate workers, they were so stressed. I was like, why don't I do mobile corporate yoga? I go to some companies and I was just like, hey, pay me $400. I'll run a 1 hour class, right? So I did that and I got huge clients. I won't mention a name, but you know, with corporate, it takes like 3-4 people to like, you have to talk to HR and there's other guy and there's Tom and there's like Jerry and there's like Sarah that you got to talk to before you finalize the client. So it took me quite a long time to build it, but eventually I got 5 clients that would pay me that much. I was like, okay, I'm going to quit PT. I'm going to do corporate yoga. I'm going to sell once a month for him. And I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. That's as far as...
And how old were you at the time?
How old would I have been? I would have been 21.
Yeah.
21.
It's pretty insane.
It would have been 21.
Yeah.
I was like,
a dropkick at 21.
I think I was making 25K a year.
But that was back then. It's like inflation happens. And then I was like, hey, I'm set. So quit my PT, gave all my clients to some dude that lived nearby. I was like, hey, take my clients, take care of them. I'm going to do this corporate yoga. So with the corporate yoga, I wasn't actually teaching it either because they were like in the West or in the city. I got teachers, I paid them and I took a percentage of that, right? And I would just find the clients because I could like get the clients. I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So quit PT, did the corporate yoga. I was like, can we sell for him once a month? And then next week, COVID hit and I was like...
I know this story.
So how long were you running this up until this point?
Would have been about 6 weeks because I was like, this is solid. The clients like, because they signed a 12-week program commitment. So I knew they were secured for at least 12 weeks. I was like, I'm going to give them great classes that like they were happy with it. I knew they would re-sign, but these companies didn't want to re-sign because like everyone's freaking out during COVID. They're like cutting budgets. Even one of the companies was still running, but they were like so busy. They had no time to relax, right? Because some companies got busier during COVID. I was literally like, shit, what do I do? So I do what anyone does. You got to hustle. So I was like, anyone looking for social media help? So I was freelancing back then. So I took a few clients and I just did their social media for them to help them get online clients, right? And from there, I kind of went into a full-time contract with the education company and I sold for them and I worked for them, right?
So at what point did you sort of wrap things up with the education company and like doing...
So I still work with them as a client, but I don't work like for them because it was more so I work for them as a contract. But I still engage with them. It was probably the second lockdown. So what happened in the second lockdown? A lot of like the second lockdown was a bit like, a lot of people didn't expect that to happen. So personal trainers were coming to me like, hey, I'm freaking out. What do I do? How do I get online clients? And I was like, should I start my own like coaching business? Kind of like that's when I was like, do I do it? Do I not do it? Because I had all the skills and I coached that company's clients. And then there was no continuation program, but I kept in contact with a few of like their people. And I just had to think like, I think when was our last lockdown? It was July 2021. I was like, hey, do I do this? Like, what do I do? I was like, I was having my second midlife crisis then, right? So what I did is what any sane person does. I reached out to a business mentor. I was like, here's $20,000. Can you help me start my own online coaching business?
I don't know if that's any sane person doing $20,000, but anyway, yes, go on.
And like I knew from that I would have to commit because I was scared like I would start it and I was just like, leave it. You know when you start stuff, you're like, don't want to deal with it. Like, it's a lot of work. I knew giving her that money would mean I have to like do it. There's no backing out.
So who was that? The business mentor?
Yeah, a business mentor. So I actually, sorry?
Yeah, are you allowed to give a...
Yeah, Jess. So Jess, like, I was watching her stuff, and how I came in contact with her was I had a freelancing client. I was helping him build his funnels. I was like, oh, who you coaching with? And he said, oh, Jess. I was like, oh, Jess. Vieira. So Jess Vieira.
Okay.
And then what happened there is me and Jess actually go way back. I used to teach yoga at the gym she used to manage, and I saw her grow her business from literally $0 to $1 million in less than a year. I was like, okay, I need to learn from this girl, right? And that's what I did.
So you paid her $20,000. Did you actually just say, hey, I'm going to give you $20,000?
Literally. So what happened was I was on a support call with her because I was having trouble building my client's funnel. And then she's like, what do you do now, Claudia? I'm like, not really sure. I kind of like take a few contracts, freelance here,
Dabble.
like do some sales with people, work on commission. She's like, interesting. Like Dan says you're killing it. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing all right. And I was like, hey, what are your packages? And she's like, yeah, I got a few things. I'm like, you want to coach me? And I literally just paid it. It was like there was no sales call. Like I think she was confused too, because like I've never really like engaged with any of her content, but like I was watching all the time. And like she really supported me in that. It was epic. So I worked with her for 3 months, and
do you feel like you got the ROI, the 20,000?
Yeah. So like after there's a couple of things. Like when you invest in mentorship, it makes you show up in a really like, hey, like you get some skin in the game, right? And then she also gave me a step-by-step strategy as well. Like I had the skills, but I didn't know how to package things, and she supported me in that. And then the next week, I literally made all my money back. Yeah. The next week.
Wow.
Yeah. So next
That's
week.
a quick turnaround.
Next week after the 3 months or next week?
No. Like I paid her next week. All these clients came out of nowhere. I was like, what's happening? Like
so you were good already. Like your skill set was...
I was already good. So it wasn't like her. Like she supported me. It was like she gave me belief that like, hey, she's like, Claudia, trust me, I've coached a lot of business mentors, and you're probably someone like I didn't really have to give like any advice on how to mentor. You have the skills. This is just like what you need to do. And like I was like, there's no way people pay like this much for it. It's just like, trust me, like just do it. And that week, the week after, when I started putting out content, I like make free posts, but I got some referrals from that, like people I work with from the previous education company. So it wasn't me investing that actually like got the money back. It was just me putting out stuff there, right? Like there's a lot of moving parts to it, I guess.
In terms of pricing and everything, how did you figure out how to do that in the beginning?
So I was like, okay, I'm going to do $2,500 for 12 weeks because that's the most I've like ever sold as a package for anyone. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to charge people that. And then she's like, no, do 4,000. I'm like, no, I'll pay that 4,000. I was like, I'm not doing that. She's like, okay, if it feels good for you, let's do 2,500. And I sold that. So once I sold that, I saw people pay for it. I slowly every 6 weeks, I would increase until I was happy with the price, right? But I think a lot of people want to just jump the gun and go like really high with the price.
Yeah.
I think you just got to like do what you're comfortable with and go from there.
And you built the course too, right? Did you build it beforehand or did you build it
I built it during, so I built all the assets during when I was coaching people, because that way it was the best way to see like what people needed. And it was more like they would get the calls with me as well. Yeah. So it was like mainly the calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious here.
Yeah.
I'm just like anyone who's watching the video is like young Asian girl selling like $4,000 packages, right? And just drop 20K on a business mentor to help with, self-limiting beliefs, you know, to a certain degree. Yeah. And there's a lot of dynamics there, right? So number one is like, I think we sort of see, I guess it's a stereotype that go like Asian, Australian, young, female, like how did you get the confidence, right, to be able to sell that sort of level besides dropping 20K on a coach, but let's just say you don't have 20K. Yeah. It's like, were there other things that came into factor to help you be able to like?
Yeah, for sure. So just a bit of backstory. When I had that contract with the company, I sold for them. So I would do about 50 sales calls a week. And then when they hired me, the first thing I did I actually didn't mention this, the first thing I did the following month is I flew to Melbourne. And have you guys watched, what's that movie called with Jordan Belfort? Is it Wolf
of Wall Street? Yeah.
Because when I got this contract, I was really bad at sales. Like this backtrack, this first first time I made sales call, like over the phone, 10 people hung up on me on the same day. I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm not cut out for this. So what I did was, okay, I just need to throw myself in the deep end. So I went to this mentor in sales, and he's like renowned in Australia. Like, he's probably trained every business coach.
What's his name?
Gulliver Giles, right? So like any business coach you see in Australia, he's probably trained them because he was like the OG. And he does these events. It's called Sales Dominus. If Gulliver ever listens to this, shameless plug, you're welcome. So it's called Sales Dominus, and it's a 3-day event. So 2 days is theory. So you talk about sales, like the process, like how to sell. And the third day, you call for 8 to 10 hours. There's no desks. There's like no desks. There's nothing. You're only allowed a phone, right? That's all you're allowed. And like you can't even use your laptop for leads. You have to print it out. The only time you use your laptop is if you're processing a payment.
So what, was everyone sitting on the floor?
4 standing up, walking around.
Oh, wow.
Legit Wall Street.
Yeah, like I'm going back to this event actually next week. I'm flying to Melbourne for it.
You're doing another one? Wow, yeah.
So he called me, he's like, hey, I'm doing another one. And then he's been like, we're being locked out for 2 years. He's like, are you in? You're like, you know I'm in.
So wait, what do you sell though? Like
you sell, so you sell whatever your program is, right? So I was just selling what for the company back then, right? So I would have been, how old would I have been? I would have been 21 at the time, or 20. No, I would have been 21.
Question. Would you have been the youngest one in the room?
I wasn't the youngest one. So there was people there selling 20K packages. I'm like, sorry, you make $500,000 a year? I was like, what the hell?
Like, and you weren't the youngest, you said?
I was the youngest. So like,
you were the youngest.
And so next to me, there was someone that was like a millionaire, and the person beside me was like, yep, they just sell like 20, 30K packages.
Don't you feel so small in the room?
Yeah. I felt like so small, but it was good. It made me it showed me what was possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because so when I did business mentoring 2 years ago, I'm like, I've seen people do this before. It's like, it's possible. Because I was so confused. I'm like, what do you sell for $20,000? And they told me like they're nutritionists. I'm like, doesn't a nutritionist get paid $100? So it was very, very eye-opening, and I actually made really good connections from that event that like I'm still friends with them today. Yeah. So it was really, really cool.
That's insane, because like I talked about this a while back with a few friends, and I said that the one thing I made, one decision I made in my life that changed my life forever was that I hung out with, or I was mentored by people that did things that I just didn't think was even achievable at all. Like, you know, I had a mentor in my old office that, you know, he grew his business, he grew the accounting business, and he was 26 when he started, like he became a partner.
At your age.
Yeah. And I was 26 when I started my own business, and I was just like, people were saying, man, that's very young. And I was like, really? Is that really that young? Like the guy next to me just did it. So like, it's not
why
really
can't I do it? Yeah.
Especially like what's possible, right?
Yeah.
So
some people talk about, you know, in corporate, they talk about this, they go, you got to do your time. Yeah. And I'm like, well, yes, when they say time, I think what they mean is like you got to accumulate enough experience and skills to be able to take it to the next level. But it's like, it's not hey, you have to do this for like 2 or 3 years before you can sort of get promoted. Because at the pace that you've gone in terms of how fast you've grown, it's like very...
It would be about 2 years,
Right, so 2 years, right? And like, I'm just fast forwarding a little bit, but like, you know, and you're open-minded about sharing, like what sort of numbers are you doing right now?
So I started the coaching business in July. So I've made over 200K, like over 200K. I don't know.
200,000 since July.
Yeah, like cash.
Wow.
Like not sales, just cash.
Okay. And that's July. So almost a year now.
Yeah.
Basically.
So almost a year, like 10 months.
Yeah. Pretty incredible. Like I think people think, I've got to go in and get a great, like you figured it out in the space of a year with COVID.
Just to confirm, July 2021?
Yes.
And then up to it's not even 12 months.
Not even 12 months.
And then like, I think one part is like, I think I contacted you in March was before, like, honestly, I didn't know how all this like tax stuff worked. I just get money and be like, okay, it's all mine. Clearly not. So I think like the best thing I actually did was get an accountant, because that helped me see my numbers. I was like, whoa, I'm actually doing really good numbers, right? And it was like, can I double this? And it just feels more real. It feels like a more real business.
Got a real business.
It feels gamified too.
Yeah.
Like you look at it and you're like, oh, I made this much last month. Oh, okay, let's just try to beat it.
Yeah.
And then it drops a bit and you're like, why the heck did it drop? And so you're trying to get back up.
You look at the profit loss, it's like, where did all my money go?
But like money's such a taboo subject, right? People don't like talking about money. And you're like, we've had interactions before, and obviously Davey's your accountant. Like you are one of the most open people about money.
Yeah.
I'm curious why, because like a lot of people don't like talking about money.
I think it's because I like money.
That helps.
Well, the coach I'm working with right now, so he actually mentors me on money. So like money is just, when you have more of it, you can do more things, right? Like you can donate, you can hire people, you can give people opportunities. Like I see money as a good thing, right? Like money is just a byproduct of growth, really. So I think sometimes people don't like talking about money because it triggers people, right? Like I even have some clients that I coach and they hired me not for strategy, but to like coach them on money, which is like interesting, right? So it's a huge subject. Like it triggers a lot of people, but I think like you have to work. Like I don't know if you guys have like because you have a business too, and Davey, I don't know if you guys have had to work on like money mindset at all, like even paying staff or something like that. You're like paying contractors, you're like kind of almost don't want it. You're like,
I talk about it all the time. I'm like, I hate the fact, I'm sorry, Viv, but I hate the fact that I have staff, but I understand why I need staff.
Just close this podcast, done.
Because I understand you need staff to grow.
Yeah.
But I don't like the pressure of having to feed.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's a weird, it's like a catch-22. You have to have it. But but also I think about the fact that like I see how you run the business and you're sort of like this one person. I know you've got some team members and that sort of stuff, but for the most part it's you. Yeah. Would you want to grow this thing out into like have a big team, or are you happy with the size?
For where I'm at right now, I think like I have a full-time VA, so I'm happy with, like she takes care of a lot of stuff for me. I do want to grow a team, but I think I have very shitty management skills, if I'm very like honest.
You're very trustworthy as well, so you might just trust them with your whole life.
Yeah, like I give people my VA has my bank accounts. She pays herself.
Oh, whoa, okay.
I'm like, if I can outsource that. Yeah. Like I'm very lazy, but I think potentially like I do want to bring in like Aussie. Like it gets lonely. That's one thing that people don't talk about. I'm literally in my bedroom
all day,
like my office.
You work from home,
working all the time. Like I really miss the culture.
I actually have to challenge what you're saying like before about the whole money, that you love money. I don't think you love money. I think you love making money.
Yeah, I love making money.
Yeah, it's different. Like
the game of playing, like trying to make money, right?
Yeah. Because like I don't think you love money, because if you love money, you wouldn't be spending 20K on a on a coach.
That's true. I love making money because it's a byproduct of growth and then showing you like what's possible. It's also like going to the gym, right? And you like first you lift like 80 kilos and you lift 150 kilos. You're like, oh, I can do more. And like it's just so much growth that comes with it. That's true. Maybe I don't like money that much. I like making money.
And to be honest, I don't think a lot of people actually like money. Like they actually like the choices that money give them,
the freedom,
the issues. It solves a lot of issues for them.
Yeah.
For me, it solves a lot of issues. That's hence why I like making money. Yeah. It gives us the options.
Actually, that's a good point that you bring up as well. Like when I grew up, like my parents didn't have a lot of money, but like I was never hungry. Like I always could afford food. But my parents didn't have like a lot of money. So like if we wanted to go on holidays, we couldn't do that. Or we wanted like something extra. It's like, no, put it back.
So tell me more about your parents then. Like what did your parents do then?
So my dad, like he just works at a news agent. And then my mum, she doesn't work. So she's
stay home mum.
She just like stays at home and like cooks and cleans and the Asian mum. But like I thought like, okay, one day I'm gonna have a family and like I want to have options. If I want to go on holiday, I want to do that, right? And you need money to do that. Like you can't just manifest holiday. It just shows up, right? Or you can win the lotto. I was like, okay, if I want a family, I want options. Like if I want to stay at home with my child, like I want to have that option. And you got to have money to do that. Otherwise, like I just didn't want to be stressed about money, because when I was younger, I could feel the stress on my parents with money. So like
they're always conscious about every cent.
Yeah, or they'll be fighting about money too, right? I was like, this is not.
Do you think that motivates you? Like that was like some sort of childhood experience. You're like, that's why you were sort of really driven to make.
I think so. I think definitely pays a big part of it because you want to feel safe and secure, right? And like for your kid, like your future family as well, you want to be like, okay, like if something happens or like you need medical care, you've got the money like aside to do that. That's super interesting. There's like this Finn, one of my friends that owns a restaurant said this, and like they're Asian, so what they said is like if you want to find a really authentic Chinese restaurant, make sure there's a kid
at the front.
Make sure there's a kid on the side studying, and that's how you know the food's authentic and good.
We're meandering right now, but I was in Eastwood the other day, and I was walking with my partner, and she was like, I want like Hong Kong egg waffles, and we're walking down this arcade, and there was a kid, I kid you not, I reckon he was 7 years old, and he was like taking our order. And I reckon he was like copying his parents because, you know, like Chinese, like Asian service is really bad. Like, it's like they don't want your business, right? Like half the time they're not even looking at you. There's like icon. And he was doing the exact same thing. He literally looked like a kid, like an adult doing this. And then we had to wait for the order. We walked away and like ordered something and then came back. And he like got the orders mixed up. And so I was like, he's a kid, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we'll just let him be. But he was just like, he was nonchalant about the whole thing. He's like, no, your order's not ready. I'm like, no, my order's like sitting right there. So I'm arguing with him about it. But you literally in Asian areas, like suburbs like Eastwood, you see it everywhere. Like kids just, you know, running the front of house basically for like all businesses.
Yeah.
So
your parents, so you didn't grow up with like a easy life when you were in your childhood, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like it definitely wasn't hard. Like I could buy a school uniform, I had food, but like when I turned 14, 9 months, I was literally counting days. I'm like, I need to make money, and then I got a job. So my first job was at a frozen yogurt shop, and I got paid $7. I was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, real money.
Did you make commission off of being able to sell it at high school? When you took all those orders?
Jordan didn't give me commission.
Jordan's the boss, yeah.
He didn't give me commission, but I think he took me out to dinner, so it's worth it.
Okay.
It's worth it. I should have asked for commission. I didn't know sales and like how it worked back then. I was just happy to take orders.
I think you were just happy to being the ice cream person. Like, hey, I'm gonna give ice cream to friends.
I think I got like a bit of status too from it as well. It's like, hey, you gotta talk. You have to get exclusive, like connect with me to get like the order, like get toppings. So like I wouldn't take it from like randoms. It had to be friends of friends. Yeah, because obviously someone has an allergy. Not good. Plus the school didn't know about this, so we had to sneak it in.
It's like
it turns up with a few $100. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I actually ended up getting in trouble in that, and like they were not happy about it. And Joy was like, "Do you want me to come to like school and talk it out with your principal?" I'm like, "No, it's fine." I think like they just got angry about it, and it gave me like a stern warning. It's like no more of this because like they explain like allergy, and it's like I remember saying to him like, there's a demand for it. You need to meet it. You can't take. So, like, I think you should be looking at different options. Like, I can't help it if people want it. Yeah. Like, if people didn't want it, I wouldn't be taking all these orders.
It's so funny.
Good times. I look back at that. It's really, really fond memories.
Yeah. Well, going off of like your childhood memories and stuff, did you have a good relationship with your parents?
I wouldn't say I had a bad relationship, but like, as you know, we're all Asian here. Like, they had like a certain set of beliefs. Yep. And what was like happening is like, you just got to study. So like, anytime I want to like go out with my friends, like, no, you got to study. Or if I want to work, it's like, you don't need to work. You got your whole life to do that. Go study. I was like, what am I studying for?
Yeah, exactly.
I was confused. Our relationship wasn't like bad, but like my parents were very, very strict. So like constantly they'll never listen to this, but constantly I had to lie about like what I was doing and where I was. Yeah. And it's like, who's this friend? Who's that friend? I'm like, I can't explain all my friends.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, it was very, like my mum, I remember she'd get really anxious about where I was. So like when I was working, she think I was lying to her. I wasn't. I was actually at work. So she'd go to the workplace to make sure I was there.
Wow. Were they that strict with your brother?
Yeah. No, not with my brother. I think it's also he's a guy. And
okay.
He's older,
yeah.
But like, and he also didn't work until he was 25.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So there's no stalking needed because he was always at home studying. So my brother's the opposite of me. Like, went to uni, good grades, listens to
model Asian.
Golden child.
Asian. And I'm like the devil child. But like our relationship, like it's a lot better now that I'm older because I appreciate it a lot more, and I'm also like moved out of home. So I was like, man, my parents actually did a lot for me. When you like move out home, you're like, oh shit, like how do you cook?
Yeah.
But like our relationship's a lot better now. But when I was in high school, it's like, oh my gosh.
But yeah, it would. So you didn't tell them that you weren't going to school like you weren't going to go uni, right?
Yeah, I didn't tell them. I was like, less time they know about, less time they have to stress.
Yeah.
Even like as an adult now, this is what I do. When I go overseas or go on holiday, I tell them one day before. So it saves them like, because they're older now. I don't want the cortisol to increase.
Yeah, I'm like that too, actually.
Yeah,
I barely ever tell them. Like I only give them like they only give them short notices so they don't have time to think about it. Yeah. Because like if they have time to think about it, they're gonna come back and go, son, don't do that. Like, you're gonna get arrested or you're gonna get kidnapped by terrorists or something. He's gonna think of the craziest things ever. Like if you give him time to think about it. So
that's
like
my parents too. Like I've learned to just tell them I'm gonna go somewhere instead of asking, or I'll just tell them last minute.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre because I don't get that.
Yeah.
I tell them everything. And like, for example, for the 1 year I went traveling, I said to them, I gave them like 6 month notice. I was telling them I'm like going, and they're like,
wow,
where are you going?
That's
like,
fair enough because you went for a whole year.
Yeah, I would have told them 1 week ahead.
Do you know what? If my mum would be like, where are you going?
I want your itinerary for the full year.
Who your friends are? I saw on WeChat someone got kidnapped there.
And then they go, don't go.
Yeah, on WeChat, my friend from this country that I've never met told me someone got kidnapped there, so you can't go. Yeah. Literally, I'm always getting kidnapped. I don't know who's kidnapped. I'm always getting kidnapped, and then like even it's actually interesting. Even now, as my business has grown, because my mom's like, oh, like you're making a lot of money, like your business is like. She still doesn't know what I do. She thinks I sit in front of a screen all day. She's like, someone's gonna scam you out of all your money.
Oh, so she's still like very paranoid.
Very, very paranoid. I think that's her upbringing, right? But like, I think that's why I had to like put distance with her, and that's like why I actually moved out home, because I was like, man, these beliefs are like ingrained in me. I gotta like get out. Because like I feel like it does sometimes, like you do, even though you don't think about it and you don't like believe it, you're like, oh, maybe I will get kidnapped. When you're like, it's like dark and you're walking in like San Diego, you're like alone, like, oh, my mom was right, we get kidnapped.
I think it's good for your mental health as well, moving out. Like, and because like the same thing happened to me with my parents, where when I was living with, I was the last one to leave because I was starting a business. I wanted to make sure I save up as much money as possible. And then what happened was that when I did leave, I just felt like, holy crap, like my head's a lot more clearer. And when I come home from work, I don't have to deflect. I don't have to put a shield up to like block my parents out. They're constant nagging, telling me to.
It's your own space.
Yeah. So, it's like, what did you do today? Did you need to eat? Have you eaten yet? Did you bring a jacket?
Don't you?
Why are you home so late?
This happened to you because we were on a call, but like your mum walks into a meeting. I'm like,
I'm just like, what the heck, man? Like, I'm in a meeting. I like you specifically say like, hey, I got a meeting for the next 2 hours. Don't walk in. It's like, have you eaten?
I feel Asian mums have like this lack of like awareness about like what's around. So the other day I was at a wedding. It was a Western wedding, and my mum was literally standing in the middle of the aisle taking photos of the groom as they were playing the fucking bridal music as they were coming down the bride. I had to yank her out in front of like 50 people because she literally had no awareness of like what was going on. Like
that's so true.
Yeah.
They actually don't have any awareness. It's almost amazing. I'm like, I want the same confidence Asian mum has. They just don't care almost.
Completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Completely like got no idea what's going on. Well, this was like her first Western wedding, I think. So she didn't understand the formalities, but come on, like seriously, no one else is standing in the middle aisle. Everyone is like, it's like Moses parting the Red Sea and you're like literally standing in the middle.
She's like, wow, what a good view.
Everyone's just left it open for me.
Well, free ticket too. Everything's free. Oh, maybe I should just go and eat the food there too.
Get the most expensive food. Asian mum is like, I could have cooked this better. All the time.
So, did you grow up, I guess in high school and friends, like, we talk about family, but like social circles, did you mainly hang around with Asians?
This is funny. In high school, I didn't have no friends. Like I had a circle and I would hang out with that circle, but like I would never go to their, like I'll get invited to parties. I'll never go because I would rather like go to work and make money. So like after high school finished, I actually like, I never kept in contact with them, but like we still follow each other on like social media. It's not like there's like any bad kind of blood or anything. It's just we're in different stages of our life. Like a lot of my friends now are like a lot older. They're in like their 30s because like it's almost like I skipped that like uni year where you like party until you're like 24.
Right.
And like I
Is that
kind
because
of
you weren't interested, or
I just wasn't interested. Like, what's my age? We get too drunk. So like, yeah, back at school, like I would say when I had a job, so I worked at a cafe, and a lot of my like friends would be from that cafe because that's where I spend most of my time, right? But like in high school, like I wasn't weird that I had no friends. Like there's people I hung out with, but I wouldn't say I had any like close friends. But now like I have like close friends from like back when I was a personal trainer and stuff like that, because we're kind of all in that same like journey in life now, if that makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you? I mean, in high school itself, you know, like from a like a racial level.
Yep.
Because you said like school was like mainly a mix. It was like you had, you know, diverse sort of racial diversity there. So then, did you mainly hang around with Asians?
Yeah.
You were in the Asian group.
Yeah, I was in the Asian group.
Such an Asian thing, right?
Yeah.
All the Asians hang out with Asians.
Yeah.
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 I mean, well, I guess it's the natural thing, right?
And maybe they're probably doing things that you weren't interested in
Yeah.
studying.
Oh,
Learning.
true. Yeah, no, yeah. They'll go to the library and they'll study. I was like, fuck, I wish I could.
You were
do that.
dealing froyo.
I wish I could.
Making money.
It wasn't even my money. It was someone else got the money. I mean, I'm gonna go and text in for my commissions from when I was 14. Yeah, they were mainly Asian, so it feels so long ago. High school.
Yeah, I guess like sometimes like you were the type of Asians that were you just didn't connect pretty.
Yeah.
You didn't connect with them that well. Hey.
I didn't connect with them that well, but like, I liked hanging with them during school. But I think like because they all went to uni together after. Like I didn't really. And
Didn't go to uni.
yeah, and then like I tried to catch up with them after. So like the first year out of high school, you kind of stay in touch with everyone, and then slowly like life gets busier and busier. I think I was always like that person. Like they invite me to a party, and I'll be like, yeah, like I'll come. And then like I wouldn't like last minute be like, yeah, I'm not coming. And then like eventually like they still invited me because Claudia's a flake. you know that friend?
Yeah.
But like I really enjoy just working. Like I really enjoy just working at night instead.
Where'd you get that fire though? Like I know you like making money, but when you're
maybe
that
trauma.
young, yeah.
Maybe trauma. I don't know. Like because the last job I had when I was in high school was at a frozen yogurt place. Froyo. It was at a dessert cafe. You might have heard of it, Sanchuro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I got that when I was about 16, I think. 15, 16, I can't remember, 16. And I actually worked my way up to store manager while I was still in school there. And I was just like, yep, I'll just take all the shifts. So I was pretty much working full time, like 30 hours while I was still in school. Wow. I was just like stacking money. I wasn't very good at saving back then. So I get money and like...
You'd blow it.
I don't even know what I would buy. I think I'd buy food and clothes. Like I don't even know what I buy.
But I'm curious because like, it's just like what Davey said, I'm like, there are some people who'd love to make money, but they don't work as hard as you do. You just take anything that's in front of you.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Is your dad like that or is your mom like that?
I think my parents, like my mom and dad definitely very hard workers in their own ways. So, like my dad, like literally since I was young, I remember him just waking up 4 a.m. to like drive to Chester Hill to like open his friend's news agent. So like he never had a day off. So I think like unconsciously I might have like
that was the standard work.
Yeah. And then like my mum like never take like a day off. Like she'd always be like cleaning, cooking something, building something, sewing something. I don't know. She'll find something to do. So like it's that like it's almost that mentality. How do you say it? Like I think definitely like see my dad, like I think he like a month he takes like 1 day off. On Sunday. So like I think another part is like I obviously want my parents to like retire. So like more money I have, like I can give them that opportunity so they can stop working. Right?
Do you feel burnt out? Like
I go through stages. So I go overseas, then like come back, I'm like, I'm good. 10 days. That's what I need.
That's what me and Can talk about too. Like it's just like burning out, it's just part of the game.
It's part of the game.
It's so normalized in me now. It's just like, oh, I'm burnt out. And then I tell people that I'm burnt out. And then everyone's like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be all right in a day. Just give me 1 day. And then 1 day I'm back to normal again. Like
I definitely do get burnt out. I think like last December, I was very burnt out. It was actually funny. There was this 1 year, I think it was 2021. So I would go interstate like before the second pandemic hit. I'll go on a holiday. I'll come back. I was so sick. Because my body didn't like when it went on holiday, it was like, it's time to rest. And I'll be so sick after.
I get that as well.
I'm like, no more holidays, Claudia. I don't have time for this.
I don't know. Do you guys get this? Like, I go on a holiday.
Yeah.
And then I always get sick on the last day before coming back. And it's because I think, well, this is how I used to travel. I used to like plan the shit out of my I like every hour, every minute.
Oh my God.
I'd know exactly where I'd be because I wanted to get the most out of my holiday.
He's the best to hang out with, like at holidays. I used to go all the time with.
Yeah,
because he'll plan it all out.
Travel agent basically, he's like tour guide and translator
and brained.
Yeah, he leaves his brain back in Australia, and so like on the last day, I'd always come down with a fever, always without fail. I'd have like 5 or 6 trips in a row like this, and I think it's like what you say. You're so like you spend so much time planning and you're like stressed and you're like trying to make things work so that when you your body finally relaxes, it literally just shuts down, like it like gives way. You know?
That happened to me for a whole year. I was like, I think I'm like a little burnt out. So what do you do? What does Chloe do? Okay, I'm gonna hire a health coach.
Pay more money.
I want to talk about that actually, because Claudia, like I know you, I'm your accountant, but you spend a lot of money on coaches and training. Yeah. So let's talk numbers. How much do you spend on an annual basis? Like I should. Well,
last year I think I spent close to like 50 grand.
Yeah.
In it. On like a house deposit. Sorry, mortgage brokers, listen to this. Like I think last year I spent close to 50 grand, but I was going hard last year. I was like, anything I need, I'm gonna pay someone for it. So health coach. I hired a business coach. I hired a mindset coach. I did like all these like random courses. What else did I do? I hired a coach that helped me with speaking, like all these, like anything I need to help with, I'm like, yep, I'll do it. If there's a virtual event, I'm like, yep, I'll do it.
You did social media? Like I've seen it because I've seen your bank statement, so I can verify that there is like, a lot of...
like expenses are just like, what the fuck is that?
But it works because that's how you made like the money that you've made. Like, you know, 200K in less than 12 months it's pretty crazy.
Because I got to say, most people wouldn't drop any coin on a coach, let alone 5 or 6 coaches, right? Like I think I do remember when Davey first walked into my office and he was like, you got to meet this girl called Claudia. She's super young, but she spends so much bloody money on coaching and programs. And I was like, what do you like? And so, and as I got to know you, you are not afraid to invest in yourself. Yeah. Like that's the big thing. Like that's the big difference between Claudia and other little Asian girl, you know, like, but I do, little Asian girl. But I do think that if you're willing to invest, like if you see it as not a cost and you see it as an investment, it becomes like a much more palatable thing, right? Yeah. So was this always something that you were willing to do, or was it, what happened? Like,
no, it wasn't something I was always willing to do, but like, I think over time, like I just learned if I want speed, I'm just going to invest into it. Like someone's done it before. I want them to teach me. Yeah, I probably can get it from a Google search, but how long will it take me? 6-12 months? I'm gonna just pay someone, learn off them, get the knowledge, and I can do it faster. But like my first investment, what was it? I made this first like high ticket investment. It would have been 2019. I paid in $50 payment plans bi-weekly.
For how long?
For like a year.
Wow. To teach you?
To teach me like, what was it? It was just like a mindset course like I really want to do. And I was just like, I'm scared. I'm like, okay, the only way I'll do it is if you take $50 a fortnight or like a week. I can't remember what it was. And I made a post about that recently on social media, and the actual coach was like, hey, I think that was the $50 a week. So I was like, thank you. Like you actually remember that, because no one would pay like that. But the mindset around that is just like, I think about this. If my clients are going to invest in me, I need to invest as well. Like I'll also go through stages where I do like hard investing, and then I'll be like, yep, I'm good. I just need to like integrate everything I learned. Then I'll go again, kind of thing. But like I just want speed. Like
it's hard for me to do what you're doing right now. I don't know if it's because I'd studied my freaking whole life, like, you know, from you know kindergarten all the way to university to doing CA. So I struggle to like pick up a pen and paper and just read. And sometimes that's why I can't read at all.
Oh, you're saying like with structured learning?
Yeah, structured learning. I can't do it. So that's why this is kind of structured learning. Obviously, it's a bit different and faster. I guess like maybe I could say that you weren't doing it in your early days, so now you're so invested in education, which is it's such a strange.
Because it's something that you like as well. Yeah.
Maybe like I should do this study. You know what? Nothing ever interests me. I actually, circle back, like I chose all the fun subjects in year 11 and 12. So like food technology, hospitality, like I think I even did like a makeup course in TAFE. So yeah, didn't do any of like the hard subjects, all the fun ones. But I was in business studies because I was passionate in business studies. I don't like, this is kind of off a tangent, but I just remember this. We had a sub teacher. Do you remember sub teachers in high school? They'll just come in and they're like it was like a free day.
If the teacher's sick or...
Yeah, it was like a free day for all the students. And I just remember telling her, I'm like, I want to have a business one day. It's just like have freedom and like help people and like I want to be my own boss and like make a lot of money. And she's like, sweetie, that's a dream. Like no one can do that.
Whoa. Oh my God.
I was just like...
What? Someone said that?
Yeah, like the business studies teacher said that. I was
and
like...
you're like, that's why you're a substitute teacher.
But I was like, I always remember back to feelings like, shouldn't you be like encouraging your like students?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was like the moment I was like, I don't think anything the teachers say means anything. Like,
but it makes a big difference between like good and bad teachers.
I had a very good teacher for commerce in year 10 though. She was like, whatever you do, I feel like if you put your like work into it, you'll be really good at it. So she was an amazing teacher. But I just felt like all the teachers, like they almost didn't want to be there. Maybe I got shitty teachers. So
well, it's also, I actually think it's because like teachers don't get paid well enough. Yeah. I'm like, all the talented people, why the hell would you be a teacher?
Well, like the class before, the guy, there could have been a guy that was just complete asshole to him, like a kid that was an asshole. And so therefore he would just be burnt out. And so when you drop a pen on the table or something, it makes a big noise.
Like as an Asian, I remember talking to my parents about this, and teachers are put on a pedestal in Asian countries.
Oh,
like they're like up there with like doctors and lawyers and stuff, right? Here, teachers are not placed that way, which is really bizarre because it's such an important part of it.
It shapes the generations.
Literally does. Yeah.
They should definitely get paid more because they shape the generation. Like I feel like if I had a really good teacher, like the teachers that were good in the subjects, I actually did really well. And so I actually did very well in commerce in year 9 and 10 because my teacher was amazing. Like, but I feel like the other teachers, not that they weren't amazing, but like, actually, no, they weren't amazing. Like I didn't connect with them. And I feel like that's why I really struggled in school too. And like even the coaches I have now, like, I really connect with them. I can really learn off them, the mentors and the courses it's just so much easier for me to learn. So like I felt like I had a study problem in high school, but now I feel like I can really study. I can read. Like I hated reading when I was in high school, but I love reading now. Like I always buy books, audiobooks. So it's really weird. I'm like, maybe it is.
You're interested in it.
Yeah, maybe it is because like I didn't study back then.
You get to put the time in for stuff that you want to get out of stuff. Like you were in high school, you didn't enjoy it because it's like, I'm not going to go to uni anyways. What's the point? What am I studying for?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, just to circle back to the investing thing, I think like if you want speed, invest in yourself because like people always invest in stuff like houses, crypto. If anyone bought crypto lately, don't check your portfolio. Like ETFs and stuff. Like like you'll get a return, but that return's got to take a long time. Whereas if you invest into a course or mentor, you'll probably get a faster return. I believe you get a faster return, and you'll have those skills for life. So I invested in high paying skills so I could get a return on that.
Yeah, right? Me and Ken talk about this all the time where it's just like there's nothing out there, no other asset that would make the amount of returns that would make if we run a business or yourself. So I just 100%. Like, and I've seen some clients, they say to me, do you invest in this X, Y, and Z? If you don't, then you can't advise me, or like, they think like, I don't know. They just have this like, they look down on you or something, like as if you don't have any money or something. And I was like, man, you don't understand, man. The people I've worked with so many people. Like I've known thousands of clients in my 15 years of doing accounting. And then once
accounted for 15 years.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? Yeah. So, and the ones that make the most money are the ones that like invest in themselves and they're running a business. They build some sort of empire. But yeah, the ones that like think they know what they're doing by investing in crypto and when they do.
They do. Everyone's got their own path. There's like, I'm not saying crypto and stuff is wrong. Like everyone's got their own path. I when I invest in crypto ETFs, I just see red of like, could have bought a course, man. I logged in crypto, I think like 2 days ago, I'm like, I just like saw the red of like, could have bought a course. Like that.
I should build a course for you, by the way.
Yeah.
You are building a course.
You can build a module in my course. When people ask me accounting, I'm like, I don't know. I go to my accountant so I don't go to jail, man. I literally don't know. But yeah, like it's the speed factor, but like how people invest is always gonna be different. Like if you want to invest in stocks and you want to buy a house, it's not wrong. It's just I think for me, I personally like to invest into myself to get like, because I'm 23 now, I can invest in myself. Like I'm gonna be in pretty good position when I'm 30, I assume.
Yeah, you're 23.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
How old do you think I was?
I actually didn't think you were 23. I thought you were like 25, 26.
I actually did not know how old you were because you never tell me. Every time I'm asked, you're like, early 20s.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, someone like I was presenting in New Zealand and FedEx, and then John, like my friend John's like, guess he loves this game. Guess how old Claudia is? Guess, because I'm Asian. Can't tell. And the guy's like 43. I think I was 21 at that time, or 20. Yeah, I think I was 21 at that time. And then next year they invited me to speak, and he was the guy choosing. I was like, I think he felt bad.
That's insane, though, man. You're 23, and you're like, and when I was 23, I think I was making 60K a year, 60.
I'd say I was about the same.
Yeah, I know there's inflation and all, but there's no way inflation to that extent. Like
not inflate to 200K, which is what you're making now currently. But okay, so if you're someone like the trajectory you were on, which is not interested in high school, not interested in going to uni, still trying to figure out what you like, right? And you say invest in yourself, right? Any other advice that you'd sort of give to people?
Just to circle back to investing in yourself, another reason I invested in myself was those circles, like masterminds. I would meet people that like I could make connections with as well that would help me. So like that's another thing with investing in yourself. You're paying to have high quality friends almost, if that makes sense. That sounds a bit weird, but like you're paying to have high quality friends. So like that's another part of investing in yourself, because you're not going to go to the street like or a bar and be like the guy's got to be making like $1 million and you can connect and learn off him. Like you got to be in like that circle, and that really helps. You're like, oh, you see like what other people are doing. But your question was like, what else? Like what other advice would you say besides investing in yourself? Like just fail faster. If something doesn't work, because I failed so many times in like the last 5 years. I can't even count. Like just fail faster. If something doesn't work, try the next thing. Like no one cares. Literally, like you think people care like when you fail and you're like, oh, I don't want to start this business. Like so-and-so is going to judge me. They're so busy with their own life. They don't care. So like they have no idea what you've done.
The ones that judge are the ones that like shouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of it, like with that Asian background, I think like a lot of us brought up with that achievement base where it's like, hey, like you got to achieve, and if you don't like get A+ or whatever,
we're like the most risk averse people.
Yeah.
Take no risks.
Yeah. They're like, I'm a failure, because like they're being brought up that way. So like they don't want to start a business because they want to fail, right? But like, hey, you got to fail to like learn some stuff. Like even I would ask like all three of you, how much have you like failed in? Like you got to learn, like maybe there's like a team member that didn't work, or there's an idea that didn't work. Like you learned from that, right? So yeah, it's just like I've had webinars that didn't work, like because people didn't close on sales and launch it. Like I did a bad launch. Like you just got to learn from it. Yeah. And then just like go next.
You definitely learn more from failures than success, I feel like, just because it prompts you to review everything. Sometimes if we're really successful, we just go like, yeah, great, next. You know,
you fail fast, but you also bounce back quick too. So that's the part where you need to bring yourself back.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because like, you have, like I see some people that go, they fail once, which is they do a course and it doesn't work out and they just give up, right?
Oh, I have a really good story about that. I paid for like a business coach in, I think 2020. I realized this dude wasn't even a business coach. So I don't know what was going through my mind then. Like I didn't even do research, and this guy just gave him money. It's like, probably shouldn't do that, by the way. And I figured out he wasn't even a business coach. He didn't even do business coaching anymore. So I think like his business failed or something, and like he did something else. And like
so he was a scam artist.
Not a scam artist, but like he doesn't do it anymore. He took me as a client probably because he needed money, right? But like that lesson I could learn was like, oh, business coaches just scam you. But it's just like, no, I just made a bad investment. That's it, right? So like that's what some people do. They have a bad business like I've had clients that have had a bad business coach, and they're like kind of like on the sales consult, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to invest in you because like I had a business coach before and like didn't really work out. I'm like, well, what's the lesson that you want to take? That they don't work, or like you don't want to invest again, or like, hey, you just had a shitty coach. Next, like just find someone else. It's almost an excuse.
Paint everything with the same brush, right? Like it's like, oh, I had a bad business coach, therefore all business coaches are bad. Whereas it's just like you're saying, it's like, hey, it's just an isolated incident. Like don't just we talk about racism, like, not all white people are racist. Like, in one bad experience, like, it's very situational. But I think, like, from an investing standpoint, like, meaning, spending the money and the time and all that effort into sort of learning about this sort of stuff. What people are really scared about, I feel like, is, like you said, failure. Like, they're scared of, like, being perceived as failure. Therefore, they don't tell anyone that they're doing this thing. And if they don't tell anyone, they're not, they don't back themselves into a corner having to do it. And so I always find, like, even with this podcast that we're launching, I'm just telling everyone, because I'm like, if everyone knows that we're doing it and we don't launch this thing, it's going to look really bad. So we have
smart.
That's what I do as well. I actually literally just tell everyone everything. Like, when I want something so badly, I would just literally tell my brothers, my family, my friends, even like the person I just met just then. I'll just tell them, hey, just look at this thing. And so, like, if a few weeks later I meet these guys, or like a month later, and they like, oh, how's that thing going, or the podcast, and I'm like, okay.
It's that accountability.
Exactly.
It's like, I force the accountability on us. And hence, like, there are sometimes, like, it's a good thing where you just jump right into it and see how it goes. And plus, if you fail,
you're gonna die anyway in 100 years. Come on, guys. Just
do it.
Remember. Yeah, exactly. Just do it.
Just do it. Like, I think just do it. Like, what's the worst that happens? Does it work out? You can literally go back to what you're doing, or you can try something else. Like, but what if, like, this is the one thing I always say to people on sales calls and also clients as well, is you're thinking, what if it doesn't work out? Actually, 90 days, what if it does work out? What would your life look like? Probably look pretty good compared to what it is now. So, like, they're coming from a place of fear instead of, like, actually, if this all works out, like, what does that life look like? It's pretty, it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Thanks for coming onto the podcast, Claudia.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Where can we find you on socials?
Where can you find me? So I'm on Instagram. I live there. It's at Claudia_L1. And then I'm not sure if you're going to do show notes. I can put
we're going to put everything in the show notes.
I'll link you my Facebook business page. And yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks
for coming on. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Level Asian podcast. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the episode. And why not share it with friends and family who might enjoy it too? Also, make sure you head over to levelasianpodcast.com to join our email list and to receive the latest updates and get notified when the next episode drops. If you know a great guest we should feature, email us at contact@levelasianpodcast.com or DM us on our socials in the show notes. Catch you on the next episode.